Okay, so hello. I said I would talk in this second clip about the opening line, or rather lines, of Albert Camus' L'Étranger. So these are incredibly memorable and powerful lines, probably the most famous opening lines in French literature, possibly even in literature. So we're going to think about the why of this, of their power. Where does it come from? Um, okay, so here are the lines in question. Aujourd'hui, maman est morte. Ou peut-être hier, je ne sais pas. Translated into English by Stuart Gilbert, the first translator of L'Étranger, as Mother died today, or maybe yesterday. I can't be sure. So, seems very straightforward. The meaning is very clear. And yet, if we think about the placement of the word today by the translator, he put the word at the end of the sentence, whereas Camus has aujourd'hui right at the beginning. And I think that's really significant. It gives a kind of a prominence to that word as the first word in the novel that wouldn't otherwise be there. There are a few things to say about this prominence of aujourd'hui. What does it do? What's the purpose of it here in this opening line, and what's its effect? Well, I think the first thing it does is it sets up a kind of a certainty and a clarity about the statement to come. Mother is dead today. It's definitely today. The second thing it does is it establishes a sense of momentousness, importance, significance. It's meaningful that Maman died today. There's a sense of event about this. The third thing that this positioning, this slightly unusual positioning of aujourd'hui at the beginning of the sentence does, is it creates a sense of complicity with the reader. It brings us straight in to the narrator's mental universe. His fictional mental universe. And I think that this is an important point as well to note, because the temporality of this novel is entirely fictional. There's no sort of real point in time from which the narrator speaks. The narrative stretches over a period of longer than a year. As the narrator proceeds through that year or more, he continues to say aujourd'hui, hier, and so on. So we are moving with in the narrator's present. We are in his present throughout the novel, and that present evolves. That present shifts, and that very first word brings us right there into his universe, his fictional present. Okay, that's all very well, but in fact, what happens in the second sentence is that aujourd'hui, that the clarity and the momentousness and the presence of that aujourd'hui is undermined by ou peut-être hier, je ne sais pas. Maybe it was in fact yesterday that she died. So we have a kind of the reader is being drawn in this opening sentence into a relationship of complicity with the narrator, and the second sentence then pushes us back a little bit. So I just wanted to highlight really the difference between saying aujourd'hui maman est morte and maman est morte aujourd'hui. Very different effect, really. And I think that Stuart Gilbert's translation, Mother died today, resembles that second translation more than it resembles the first one. Today, Maman died would be a more accurate translation, I think, of this opening sentence. Now, the second thing that the second element of this sentence I'd like you to think about, or that I'd like to think about with you, is the use of the word maman. Now, I teach this novel, as I mentioned, in final year, and I often ask my students to think about how they would translate this word maman. It's such a simple word. It's often, the word for mother is very often the first word that we utter as babies. And yet, this word has caused translators huge headaches, huge problems. So, as I said, Stuart Gilbert, the first translator, translated it as mother. But maman is different from mother. Mother is quite impersonal, isn't it? Maman could be translated perhaps more accurately by mama or mummy or mum or mom. So there's maman establishes a kind of a direct relationship with the mother. It is what you call your mother. It's what a child calls its mother in French. Maman. It's not ma mère, it's maman. So again, as with aujourd'hui, at the beginning of the sentence, we're drawn into a relationship of um, empathy and complicity and um, well, affective proximity with the narrator. We are there again in his fictional mental universe. We sympathize with this narrator. And then, as I said, the second sentence pushes us back again. Um, okay, so that's all I really want to say about this opening line of the novel. The next clip is going to be focusing on probably the most famous passage from the novel itself, the shooting on the beach. Thank you.